It was just past midnight. My shift at Pizza Hut was dragging on, and I was counting the minutes until closing. The air felt unusually thick, heavier, as if anticipating the storm that had been forecasted. The fluorescent lights flickered occasionally, casting erratic shadows across the tiled floors, and an uneasy feeling settled in my stomach. "Almost done for the night, huh?" Kevin, my coworker, remarked casually as he wiped down the counter. He was oblivious to the electric tension building in the air, the type that forewarns of an impending thunderstorm or something worse. "Yeah, can't wait to get out of here," I replied, my voice a bit shaky. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off tonight. The door chimed suddenly, startling us both as a customer entered. His appearance was disheveled, wet from the rain, and his eyes, a piercing shade of gray, seemed to bore into mine with an intensity that was almost palpable. "I'll take a large pepperoni, to go," he said, his voice deep and gravelly, slightly echoing in the empty restaurant. As I punched in his order, the lights flickered more violently, a soft moan of wind creeping through the gaps in the door. "Nasty night to be out," Kevin commented, trying to spark some small talk to ease the tension. The man only nodded, his gaze never leaving my face. As I prepared his pizza, the sense of dread grew. The air turned colder, and the lights in the kitchen began to buzz and dim. Kevin seemed to notice it too, his attempts at conversation dying down as he wrapped the pizza up. "There you go," I said, handing the box over. The man's cold fingers brushed against mine, sending a shiver up my spine. "See you soon," he said, but it didn't sound like a promise. It sounded like a threat. He turned and left, the wind slamming the door behind him. As his figure disappeared into the rain, the restaurant lights stabilized, and the room warmed slightly. "What was that about?" Kevin asked, looking as unnerved as I felt. "I don't know, man, but I'm glad he's gone," I admitted, trying to shake off my unease. We finished closing up in silence, the previous interaction hanging heavily between us. The next night, the same man returned. "One large pepperoni, to go," he repeated his order from the night before, his eerie eyes fixed on me again. "You like our pepperoni, huh?" I tried to joke, handing him the pizza. His only response was the same unsettling phrase, "See you soon." This happened several nights in a row. Each visit was identical to the last, down to his words and the unsettling atmosphere that accompanied him. The fourth night, however, something changed. As I handed him his usual order, he leaned closer, his breath cold as ice. "You don't know what you're giving me, do you?" His words chilled me to the bone. "What do you mean?" I managed to stutter out, my heart racing. He smiled, a twisted, horrifying grin that didn't reach his eyes. "This place, it's built on something old, something hungry. Every pizza feeds it, keeps it at bay." I felt my blood run cold, the fluorescent lights flickering ominously overhead. "What are you talking about?" I demanded, but he only chuckled darkly, turning to leave with his pizza. "See you soon," he called over his shoulder, his laughter echoing in the now frigid air of the restaurant. That night, after closing, I decided to investigate. I had to know if there was any truth to the man's cryptic messages. Kevin was already gone, and I was alone. I started with the basement, the part of the building I had always avoided, it being old and filled with discarded furniture and boxes. As I descended the stairs, the air grew oppressively cold. The only sound was my footsteps and the distant rumbling of thunder. The basement was dimly lit by a single bulb that swung slightly, casting moving shadows that made my heart beat frantically. I rummaged through old files and documents, looking for anything that could explain the man's words. Then, I found it. A faded article, tucked away in a dusty box, detailed a grim story about the land before Pizza Hut was built. It was an ancient burial site, believed to be cursed by the spirits who were disturbed during the construction. I felt a cold breath on my neck, and I spun around, heart pounding, to see nothing but the empty, dark basement. I raced upstairs, the article clutched in my hand, terror propelling my movements. Just as I reached the top of the stairs, the entire building shook, a deep, guttural growl reverberating through the walls. The lights went out, plunging me into darkness. Then, a voice, dark and twisted, echoed through the pitch black, "Welcome back." "Who's there?" I called out, my voice trembling. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by my rapid, shallow breaths. I fumbled for my phone, its flashlight cutting a narrow swath of light through the darkness. The light flickered, mirroring my growing panic. Every shadow seemed to twist and move, as if alive. A low whisper filled the room, coming from everywhere and nowhere, "You shouldn't have come back." The voice was ragged, as if dragged across gravel. I spun around, trying to locate the source, but found only the empty, menacing darkness. I backed towards the door, but stopped as a cold wind swept through the room, sending papers flying as if caught in a sudden storm. I stumbled over a chair, crashing to the ground. The phone slipped from my hand, skittering across the floor and under a table. The light from the screen cast grotesque shadows that danced along the walls. I crawled towards it, desperation clawing at my throat. Just as I reached for the phone, a figure appeared, bathed in the dim light. It was a woman, her face gaunt, her eyes hollow pits of despair. She stared at me, her mouth moving silently at first. Then, a whisper, carried as if from a great distance, reached my ears, "Leave this place." Ignoring her warning, I grabbed my phone and stood, my legs shaky. "What do you want from me?" I demanded, trying to mask the fear that choked each word. She vanished as suddenly as she had appeared, leaving me alone with the chilling echo of her warning. I felt an overwhelming presence around me, as if the air itself was pressing down, suffocating. The walls seemed to close in, the shadows growing deeper, more menacing. I needed to escape, to get out of that basement, but as I turned to run, I tripped over something solid. It was a box, old and covered in dust. Compelled by a force I didn't understand, I opened it. Inside, there were more articles, photographs of the land before the Pizza Hut was built, and old, tarnished jewelry that looked like it could have been from the burial site. As I sifted through the contents, a photograph caught my eye. It was an image of a group of people, dated back over a century. They stood solemnly, their expressions grim, as if aware of their photo being taken for a dire purpose. In the background, the original structure on this cursed land stood ominously. The wind howled outside, the storm finally breaking as rain pattered against the small basement windows. Thunder rolled, each clap resonating like a drumbeat of doom. I looked up from the photograph to see the woman again. She was clearer now, more corporeal, her eyes filled with a silent pleading. "Help us," she intoned, her voice a mere whisper, yet it filled the room, overwhelming the storm outside. "How?" I managed to ask, my voice barely a whisper in return. "Free us," she replied, her form beginning to fade as the first streaks of dawn light began to filter through the grimy windows. I was left alone once more, the storm outside abating as quickly as it had come. The documents and the eerie photograph lay scattered around me. I knew then that I couldn't just leave, not now that I had seen her, heard the desperate souls bound to this place. Compelled by a newfound resolve, I gathered the documents and the photograph, planning to research more about this land, its history, and how to possibly free the spirits trapped here. As the sun rose, casting light into the dark corners of the basement, I felt a brief respite from the oppressive fear. Leaving the basement, I locked the door behind me, the echo of the woman's plea lingering in my mind. The restaurant was silent, eerie in the early morning light. I decided to call Kevin to tell him what I had discovered, but as I dialed his number, the phone line crackled and went dead. A sudden chill swept through the room. I turned slowly, the feeling of being watched creeping over me. The air shifted, the faint sound of whispers filled the space, growing louder, more urgent. "Free us," they echoed, a chorus of voices, desperate and pained. The lights flickered, then stabilized, as I stood frozen, unsure of my next move. The day ahead would be long, and I knew I needed to prepare for what was to come. Whatever was bound to this place wasn't just part of the past, it was alive, and now it was a part of me too. As I stepped outside, the cool morning air felt like a small comfort against the weight of my task. I looked back at the building, its facade innocuous in the light of day, betraying nothing of the darkness that lurked within. But I knew the truth now, and I couldn't turn away. I drove home, the roads empty, my mind racing with plans and fears. At home, I would start my research, delve into the history of the land, and look for any clues on how to break the curse. The spirits had called to me, and I had no choice but to answer. As I drove away from the Pizza Hut, the morning light did little to dispel the shadows that clung to my thoughts. The words of the apparition echoed in my mind, a ceaseless whisper, "Free us." Determined, I headed home, my mind swirling with plans to unearth the history buried beneath that building. The drive was quick, the streets deserted, as if the world itself held its breath. Once home, I pored over old records and articles online, digging into the history of the land on which the Pizza Hut stood. It was once known as Crow's Field, a site of numerous unexplained disappearances during the early 1900s. The more I read, the clearer the connections became. The land was cursed, or so the old town records claimed, tainted by the tragic events that had unfolded over generations. Armed with this knowledge, I knew I couldn't face this alone. I called Kevin, explaining everything from the apparitions to the historical curses. He was skeptical at first, but the sincerity in my voice and the urgency of the situation convinced him. "All right, I'm with you. This is crazy, but I'm with you," he said, his voice a mixture of fear and resolve. We decided to meet at the restaurant before dawn the next day, hoping to avoid any prying eyes. The plan was to conduct a sort of cleansing ritual. Kevin had found an old book on spiritual rites at a local thrift store. It was a long shot, but it was the best chance we had. That night, neither of us slept, our minds gripped by what might await us at the cursed site. As I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, the shadows seemed to move, forming shapes, whispering secrets of the past. I shivered, pulling the covers tight. We arrived at the Pizza Hut in the dark, the building looking more ominous than ever. Armed with salt, sage, and the old book Kevin had found, we entered the restaurant. The air was cold, colder than it should have been, and I felt a familiar prickle on the back of my neck. "Let's do this quickly," Kevin whispered, his voice barely hiding his fear. We set up in the main dining area, placing candles at key points and sprinkling salt in a circle around us. According to the book, this would protect us from any malevolent spirits. Then, we began to chant the words from the book, the ancient phrases feeling odd on our tongues. As we chanted, the air grew thick, heavy with the presence of something unseen. The candles flickered wildly, as if in a wind, though the air was still. Shadows danced along the walls, twisting into human shapes, faces contorted in pain and anger. "Keep going," I urged Kevin, as fear threatened to choke my words. The building began to shake, subtly at first, then more violently. The sound of moaning filled the air, not from the wind, but from the spirits trapped within the walls. It was a cacophony of despair, and it took all our will not to flee. Suddenly, a figure materialized in the center of the circle. It was the woman I had seen before, her eyes now pleading. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice clear amid the chaos. With a final surge of energy, we shouted the last of the incantations. A blinding light filled the room, radiating from the floor, walls, even the ceiling. The ground trembled beneath our feet, and then, as quickly as it had begun, everything stopped. The light faded, the candles snuffed out, leaving us in darkness. As our eyes adjusted, we realized the oppressive atmosphere was gone. The air was lighter, as if a tremendous weight had been lifted. We turned on the lights, half expecting destruction, but the restaurant was intact, unchanged. "Is it over?" Kevin asked, his voice echoing slightly in the quiet. I nodded, feeling a sense of peace that had been absent since this ordeal began. "I think so," I said, a smile breaking through the tension. We left the building as the sun rose, casting warm light over the land. The curse was broken, the spirits freed, and as we looked back at the now tranquil Pizza Hut, we knew we had changed the history of that place forever. In the days that followed, there was a noticeable shift. The eerie feeling that once clung to the restaurant was gone, replaced by a mundane normalcy. Customers came and went, unaware of the battle that had been fought and won within those walls. Kevin and I never spoke of it again, at least not openly. We had shared something beyond the ordinary, a connection forged in the face of the unknown. We had faced the shadows together and emerged victorious. The town slowly forgot the legends of Crow's Field, the stories fading into the background like an old photograph. But we remembered, and we always would. The Pizza Hut stood as a testament not just to our courage, but to the power of belief and the strength of the human spirit to overcome even the darkest of curses. And sometimes, late at night, when the wind howls just right, I swear I can hear a whisper, a soft thank you, carried on the breeze. It's a reminder that some stories, though hidden, are never truly forgotten.